Most people think you need to be an expert trader or a programmer or someone who spends 8 hours a day watching stock charts to use AI for investing. You don't. You just need to know where to start. And that's exactly what this video is, a starting point, a real one. Not the kind where someone shows you a fancy dashboard and says, just do this without explaining anything. We're going to go step by step from the very beginning, and by the end, you're going to have a clear picture of how to use AI, specifically Claude, to actually help you with your finances and your investments. Welcome. My name is, and if you've seen videos about AI and trading recently and felt completely lost, this video is for you. Maybe you saw someone talking about trading bots or MCP or alpaca and you thought, I don't even know what any of that means. Where do I even begin? That's exactly the gap this video fills. We're not going to start with bots. We're not going to start with code. We're going to start with the basics, build up slowly, and give you a real roadmap that you can actually follow. Here's what we're covering today. First, why AI is changing investing right now, and why this matters even if you've never invested a single dollar. Second, level 1, how to use Claude as a learning tool to finally understand the concepts that used to be confusing. Third, level 2, how to use Claude to actually research stocks, companies, and assets before putting any money in. Fourth, level 3, how to start building real tools with Claude even without any coding experience. Fifth, the most common mistakes people make when they combine AI and investing and how to avoid them. And finally, a concrete 7-day action plan so you leave this video with something to actually do, not just something to think about. Let's go. So why is everyone suddenly talking about AI and trading? What actually changed? To understand that, let me give you a little context. For decades, we're talking 30, 40 years, the best financial tools in the world were locked behind enormous paywalls. A Bloomberg terminal, which is essentially a very powerful financial data and research tool, costs around $24,000 per year. That's what professional traders, hedge funds, and banks pay just to access good market data and research tools. The average person had absolutely no access to anything like that. You had your broker, maybe a few news websites, and that was pretty much it. Then the internet came along and democratized information somewhat. You could read the news, look up stock prices, maybe find some analysis online, but it was still messy, still time consuming, and still required a lot of expertise to interpret correctly. Now, with AI, something fundamentally different is happening. You have access to a tool that can not only find information but understand it, summarize it, explain it, compare it, and help you think through it in plain English in real time for free or almost free. Claude, which is made by a company called Anthropic, is one of the most capable of these tools. And unlike some others, it's particularly good at reasoning through complex topics, which makes it especially useful for financial research. Think about what that actually means in practice. You could paste in a 90-page corporate earnings report and ask Claude to summarize the 5 most important things an investor needs to know. You could describe a trading strategy you read about and ask Claude to explain the risks. You could ask it to compare two companies across 10 different financial metrics. You could ask it to write a spreadsheet formula that automatically tracks your portfolio. You could even, at the more advanced levels, ask it to build an automated system that monitors markets and executes trades based on rules you define. None of that required a Bloomberg terminal. None of that required a finance degree. This is genuinely new and it's available to you right now. But here's the thing, and this is important. Most people jump straight to the advanced stuff and get burned. They see a video about an automated trading bot. They try to set it up without understanding what it's doing, and either it doesn't work or it loses them money. The approach we're taking today is different. We're building from the ground up. Each level builds on the previous one. And you don't move to the next level until you're comfortable with the current one. Level 1. This is where everyone should start, and almost nobody does because it feels too simple. Level 1 is using Claude as a teacher, just a teacher, nothing more. You're not analyzing stocks yet. You're not building anything. You're just learning the language of investing. Because if you don't speak the language, nothing else makes sense. Here's the reality. Most people who are confused about investing are not confused because they're not smart enough. They're confused because nobody ever explained the basics to them in a clear, patient, non condescending way. Financial content is often either too simplistic, just buy index funds, or too technical, moving averages, RSI, options, Greeks. There's very little in the middle that actually walks you through concepts in a logical order and adjusts to your level of understanding. Claude does exactly that. Here's what you do: go to Claude AI, create a free account if you don't have one, and just start a conversation. Tell Claude your current level. Something like, I know almost nothing about investing. Can you teach me the most important concepts I need to understand before I start, starting from the very beginning, and then just have a conversation? Ask follow up questions. If something doesn't make sense, say, can you explain that differently? Or can you give me a real world example? Keep going until it clicks. Some specific prompts that are extremely useful at this stage. Explain what a stock is, what an index fund is, and what an ETF is, and how they're different. What is compound interest, and why do financial advisors say it's so powerful? What is dollar cost averaging, and why do people recommend it for beginners? What's the difference between investing and trading, and what are the risks of each? What is a portfolio, and how should a beginner think about building one? What is risk tolerance, and how do I figure out what mine is? Each of those questions could be a 30-minute conversation with Claude, and at the end of those conversations, you will understand more about investing than the majority of adults who have been putting money into their 401k for 20 years without knowing what's actually in it. That's not an exaggeration. Most people invest without really understanding what they're doing. Level 1 fixes that. One more thing about level 1: use it to understand the news. Financial news is full of jargon that sounds important but is hard to interpret if you don't have context. When you see a headline like Fed raises interest rates by 25 basis points, ask Claude what that means, why it happened, and what it typically means for stock prices. When you see inflation data comes in hotter than expected, ask Claude to explain that. Over time, as you do this consistently, you start to develop an intuition for how markets work. That intuition is worth more than any trading strategy. Level 2. Now you understand the basics. You speak the language. Let's use Claude to actually research investments. This is where things start to get practical. The first and most powerful use at level 2 is document analysis. Public companies, any company that trades on a stock exchange, are required by law to publish detailed financial reports. These include quarterly earnings reports, annual reports, and something called a 10K filing, which is basically a comprehensive overview of the company's business, finances, and risks. These documents are publicly available on the SEC website, on company investor relations pages, or you can usually just Google the company name plus annual report. The problem is that these documents are enormous. A typical 10K is 50 to 150 pages long. Nobody reads them, but they contain some of the most important and honest information about a company that exists. Here's what you do: find the document, copy the most relevant sections, usually the business section, the risk factors section, and the financial summary, and paste them into Claude. Then ask, based on this document, what are the three biggest risks facing this company? What are the most promising growth opportunities? And is there anything in here that should concern a long term investor? You'll get an analysis in seconds that would have taken a professional analyst hours to produce. You can also use Claude for comparison research. Compare Apple and Microsoft as long term investments. What are the main differences in their business models, their revenue streams, and their exposure to economic downturns? Or I'm considering investing in either an S&P 500 index fund or a technology-focused ETF. Can you explain the key differences in terms of risk, diversification, and historical performance? These kinds of comparisons used to require either paying for research or spending hours reading different sources. With Claude, you can do it in minutes. Another powerful technique: scenario analysis. Ask Claude to think through what happens to a specific investment under different economic conditions. If interest rates rise significantly over the next 2 years, how would that typically affect real estate investment trusts? Or if there's a recession in the next 18 months, which sectors of the stock market have historically held up best and which have performed worst. Claude won't give you a prediction. Nobody can predict the future, but it can give you a framework for thinking through different scenarios, which is exactly what sophisticated investors do. Now, the disclaimer, and I mean this seriously, Claude is a research assistant, not a financial advisor. It can make mistakes, it can sometimes present outdated information as current. It can occasionally be confidently wrong about specific facts. You should always verify any specific claim, especially numbers, dates, or specific performance data from a primary source. Use Claude to help you think and ask better questions. Use official sources, company filings, and reputable financial data providers to verify the facts. The combination of the two is extremely powerful. Either one alone has significant limitations. Level 3. This is where Claude stops being a research tool and starts being a builder. This is the level that most of those viral videos are about. And it's genuinely impressive, but only once you have the foundation from levels 1 and 2. Let's start simple. Even if you've never written a line of code in your life, Claude can write code for you. And the first place that's useful is in building simple tracking tools. For example, a portfolio tracker in Google Sheets. You can tell Claude, I want to build a Google Sheets spreadsheet that tracks my portfolio. I own shares of Apple, Microsoft, and an S&P 500 ETF called VOO. I want the spreadsheet to automatically show me the current price of each, my total value based on how many shares I own, and my gain or loss percentage from when I bought them. Can you write the formulas for this? Claude will give you the exact formulas. You copy them into your spreadsheet. You have a live portfolio tracker for free in about 10 minutes. The next step up from there is Python scripts. Python is a programming language that's commonly used for data analysis and automation. Claude can write Python scripts for you that do things like pull current and historical stock prices from free APIs like Yahoo Finance, calculate technical indicators like moving averages or RSI, create charts showing price trends, and even send you an email or a notification when a stock you're watching crosses a certain price level. You don't need to understand how the code works. You need to understand what you want it to do, and you need to be able to run it, which Claude can also walk you through. Now, the most advanced level and the one that gets the most attention is automated trading. This is where Claude connects to actual brokerage platforms and can place trades on your behalf. The most popular platform for this kind of experimentation is Alpaca, which is a commission-free brokerage that has an open API, meaning it's designed for exactly this kind of programmatic trading through something called MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. Claude can connect directly to Alpaca and execute trades based on rules you define. For example, you could tell Claude to buy a specific stock every Monday morning if its price is below its 50-day moving average, or to sell a position automatically if it drops more than 10% from your purchase price, or to replicate the trading activity of certain politicians whose stock trades are publicly disclosed. These are real strategies that people are building with Claude right now. But here is my very strong advice. Do not do this with real money until you have spent significant time testing it with paper money. Paper trading means simulated trading. You're making all the same decisions and executing all the same trades but with fake money. Alpaca offers paper trading for free. Weibo does too. Use it. Spend at least a month running your strategy in paper trading mode, watching what happens, understanding why it makes the decisions it makes, and identifying what could go wrong. Only after you've done that should you even consider connecting it to real money, and even then start with a very small amount you're completely comfortable losing. Let me talk about the most common mistakes people make, because avoiding these will save you a lot of frustration and potentially a lot of money. Mistake number 1: trusting Claude without verifying. Claude is incredibly capable, but it is not infallible. It can confidently state something that is factually incorrect. This is called hallucination, and it happens with all large language models. For anything consequential, a specific financial figure, a regulatory rule, a company's current financial status, always verify from a primary source. Never make a significant financial decision based solely on what Claude tells you. Mistake number two, rushing past the fundamentals. I've seen people who don't understand what a stop loss order is trying to build automated trading systems. That's like trying to drive a Formula One car before you've learned to drive a regular car. The automated systems are powerful, but they do exactly what you tell them to do. If you don't understand the underlying strategy, you can't tell them the right things. Spend real time at levels 1 and 2 before you touch level 3. Mistake number 3, starting with real money. Use paper trading every time. No exceptions when you're starting out. There's no shame in it. Professional quantitative traders backtest and paper trade strategies for months before deploying real capital. You should too. Mistake number 4, over optimizing for past performance. Claude is very good at analyzing historical data, and it's tempting to look at a strategy that would have worked perfectly over the last 5 years and assume it will keep working. Markets change. What worked in a low interest rate environment might not work now. What worked in a bull market might fail in a bear market. Always ask Claude, under what conditions would this strategy fail? What are the biggest risks to this approach? Mistake number 5, neglecting position sizing and risk management. Even if your strategy is right 60% of the time, you can still lose everything if you bet too much on each trade. Ask Claude to help you think through position sizing, how much of your portfolio to allocate to any single position, and always have a clear plan for what happens when a trade goes wrong. Now let's make this concrete. Here is your 7-day action plan to go from zero to genuinely using Claude for investing. Day 1. Create a free account on Claude AI if you don't have one. Spend 30 to 45 minutes just having a conversation about investing basics. Tell Claude your starting point and ask it to teach you. Don't rush this, just have a real conversation. Day 2. Pick one company you've heard of and are curious about. Could be Apple, could be Nike, could be Tesla, could be a local company you know. Ask Claude to explain the business model, the main products or services, who their competitors are, and what the biggest risks to the business are. Get to know one company deeply. Day 3. Go to that company's investor relations page and find their most recent earnings report or annual report summary. Paste the key sections into Claude and ask for an analysis. This is your first real taste of document-based research. Day 4. Ask Claude to compare two investment options you're considering. Maybe it's two individual stocks, or maybe it's an index fund versus an actively managed fund. Ask it to walk you through the key differences and which might be more appropriate for a beginner. Day 5. Ask Claude to help you build a simple portfolio watchlist in Google Sheets. Just a basic spreadsheet with the names of 5 to 10 companies or funds you want to track, with formulas to pull their current prices. Day 6. Research paper trading. Watch one video on how paper trading works, then open a free paper trading account on Alpaca or Weibo. Don't do anything with it yet, just get the account set up and explore the interface. Day 7. Come back to Claude and ask it to suggest a simple beginner investment strategy based on your situation, your age, your risk tolerance, your time horizon. Ask it to explain every single part of the strategy until you fully understand it. Ask it what could go wrong. Ask it what you'd need to learn next to take it to the next level. That's 1 week. No money required, no coding required, just curiosity and consistency. At the end of that week, you will have a foundation that most people never build, even people who have been investing for years. If this video was useful to you, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people, and more people having access to this information is a good thing. Subscribe if you want to go deeper. We're going to do dedicated videos on each of these levels, going into much more practical detail. And leave a comment below. What's the first thing you're going to ask Claude? I read every single comment and I respond to as many as I can. See you in the next one.